That social media post behind me saying, "What about Comey?" was directed to Pam. Are you the Pam that the president was referring to?
I'm sure I was.
So it's very clear to me that when the president posts something like that, that he considers the DOJ to be his law firm and you his lawyer. And in fact, very shortly after the post to you, Comey gets indicted.
What happens when a Senate hearing meant to oversee justice turns into a showdown over corruption, double standards, and political power? Today, we break down the explosive exchange that's raising serious questions about who the Department of Justice really serves, the American people or the political class. Welcome to Liberty Watch. I'm glad you're here. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because here, we cut through the political noise and fight for the truth that the mainstream media won't touch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, FISA Section 702 will expire in 6 months. In response to my questions for the record, at your confirmation hearing, you said you did not have experience with FISA, but if confirmed, you would consult with experts at DOJ. Now you've had that opportunity. Do you support adding additional safeguards for searching Americans' communications in the 702 database?
Senator, Section 702 is a vital source of foreign intelligence and instrumental in keeping Americans safe. We also take individuals' rights of Americans, their individual rights of all Americans, very seriously. And many statutory reforms to FISA have incorporate safeguards. They have to incorporate safeguards to protect our civil liberties. The Department of Justice looks forward to working with you to discuss anything regarding 702.
Appreciate
I believe
that.
my staff, and Senator, I also want to thank you for this hearing. Your staff met with my staff, and I greatly appreciate that.
Thank you. We're going to be working on 702, so I appreciate the openness to further amending 702. At your confirmation hearing, you assured me that it is the Department of Justice's decision to determine what cases will be prosecuted. Last month, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia was forced out. President Trump then posted the message behind me asking about prosecuting James Comey. You then appointed a new U.S. attorney who within days secured an indictment against James Comey. That social media post behind me saying, "What about Comey?" was directed to Pam. Are you the Pam that the president was referring to?
I'm sure I was.
So it's very clear to me that when the president posts something like that, that he considers the DOJ to be his law firm and you his lawyer. And in fact, very shortly after the post to you, Comey gets indicted. Last year, President Trump's new border czar, Tom Homan, was videotaped taking a bag with $50,000 in cash from undercover FBI agents, after suggesting he could help with government contracts. Sounds like a bribe. 2 weeks ago, DOJ officials reportedly shut down the bribery investigation into Mr. Homan. Ms. Bondi, did you approve closing the Homan investigation, bribery investigation?
Just get rid of that.
Senator Hirono, as I stated earlier, the Department of Justice and the FBI conducted a thorough review, and they found no credible evidence of any wrongdoing. You were also on video outside the White House protesting with a group called CASA, where Antifa members were. Does that mean you're a member of Antifa?
You know, I simply asked the question as to whether or not you approve the shutting down of the investigation, Mr. Homan. I have to assume that you did because the FBI it reports to you. But the American people would look at the situation where this person is taking a $50,000 in cash no less, and you testified today that a thorough investigation was done. Now, I have to assume, I conclude, that since no wrongdoing was determined, that in answer to Senator Whitehouse's question, he kept the money. He kept the money, and I hope that he put that on his tax returns as income. Next question. Over 1,200 rioters were convicted of charges related to January 6th. President Trump has since pardoned nearly all of them. As if that weren't enough, last month there were reports that a lawyer for the January 6th rioters met with senior DOJ officials about setting up a compensation fund like the one that Congress set up after 9/11 to compensate these rioters. Ms. Bondi, is anyone at DOJ considering setting up a compensation fund for January 6th rioters? Yes or no?
Senator, I have had no meetings or discussions about a fund.
So would you support such a fund? Would you okay such a fund?
Senator, you can send me the information on the fund, and I'd be happy to look at it.
No, but do you think that's a good idea this is what I'm getting at. Because to actually set up a fund and to have people talking with your senior people at DOJ, political people, about creating a fund, and you won't let us know what you think about that, that's pretty unbelievable. On January 30th of this year, the Trump DOJ's Antitrust Division sued to block the merger of two tech companies. Then, well-connected lobbyists met with your political deputies who overruled the career staff and approved the merger. So there's a settlement on that. And separately, DOJ sued Ticketmaster last year for monopolizing concert tickets and forcing consumers to pay outrageous fees. Ticketmaster has hired the exact same lobbyists who met with senior DOJ political people regarding the merger of the two tech companies. So my question is, Ms. Bondi, have lobbyists met with your political deputies about the Ticketmaster case?
Senator Hirono, as I stated earlier, I am not going to discuss anything that is ongoing. Gail Slater runs the antitrust
I would
office,
say
and
that-
Gail
that-
Slater, if I can finish, Gail Slater is doing an incredible job running my antitrust unit.
It's highly likely, Ms. Bondi, that the same lobbyists who met with your people basically got rid of the antitrust case.
Senator, I don't think a lot of people
I
like
would
that
say
you were
that
out
they're probably
protesting with
meeting you
Antifa.
right now. Next question. You have fired dozens of career prosecutors because they worked on cases involving President Trump or January 6th rioters. For example, one career federal prosecutor who secured over 100 convictions in Florida. He also spent time in D.C. prosecuting January 6 cases. He received an outstanding review only 2 days before you signed a memo firing him. The memo cited no reason for his firing. Are you firing career prosecutors solely because they worked on cases like January 6th that the president doesn't like?
Senator Hirono, I am not going
Yes
to
or
talk
no?
about personnel matters with you.
Well, we all know that hundreds of career prosecutors have left the DOJ, and literally hundreds, we're told.
Yeah, Senator,
you've
are you
lost. The
familiar with the one
DOJ
that threw a
has
sandwich
lost-
at an ICE officer? Are you a Homeland Security officer?
is the
Are you familiar
reason-
with the one who went out on her lunch break and was
Ms. Bondi,
making obscene gestures?
Would you say that DOJ losing these career prosecutors and the thousands of hours of experience they have prosecuting criminals, that is not a reassuring situation?
Senator, many employees took the fork in the road and resigned. DOJ is hiring committed prosecutors who will actually come into the office and work, and not work remotely, and
think we all
prosecute
know
violent
that-
criminals around the country and terrorists. And
When
I
you-
am very proud
when you
of the
fire-
work all of our prosecutors
I'm running
are
out of
doing.
time, so I think you should stop with, your continuous interruptions, in my opinion. Mr. Chairman, I just want to close by saying that what was once the Department of Justice has become the Department of Revenge and Corruption. Rather than pursuing cases without fear or favor, this DOJ seeks to favor the president's friends and instill fear in his alleged enemies. If you're a friend of the president, this corrupt DOJ will bend over backwards to help you, just like it dropped the bribery investigation of Tom Homan, like it's considering paying money to January 6th rioters, and like it has put antitrust enforcement decisions in the hands of well-connected lobbyists. But if you're on the wrong side of this president, you will face the wrath of DOJ, no matter what the facts, law, or justice support. James Comey is indicted days after the president's social media directive. Experienced career prosecutors are fired just because they were assigned to work on January 6 cases. Blue states are sued to get highly sensitive private voter data, whereas red states are left alone. The double standard is clear, and the American people are waking up to the corruption and favoritism and the lawlessness at the DOJ. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
May I respond, Chairman?
Yes.
May I respond?
Yes, you may respond. Then Senator Kennedy.
Thank you. The double standard is crystal clear, Senator Hirono, crystal clear, because you didn't complain for 4 years when President Trump was being targeted by Jack Smith, by the last Justice Department. But the American people spoke loud and clear when they overwhelmingly elected him. The two-tier system of justice is over.
Before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We deliver the truth with clarity, courage, and a commitment to the American people. Today's hearing put the Department of Justice under a microscope, and honestly, that's long overdue. What we saw wasn't just political theater. It was a real conversation about whether our justice system is being run based on principle or pressure. The questioning began with Section 702 of FISA, a massive surveillance tool. Now, conservatives and libertarians alike have warned about abuses for years. And here, the senator demanded to know whether Ms. Bondi supports stronger safeguards for Americans' privacy. She gave the standard DOJ answer: 702 is vital. But Americans want more than that. They want accountability. Then came the bombshell. The firing of a U.S. attorney followed immediately by an indictment of James Comey, right after a presidential post. The senator asked Bondi directly, "Are you the Pam he was referring to?" She said yes. That admission raises serious questions. Are DOJ decisions independent or political? And this isn't about left or right. This is about justice. The hearing then shifted to something even more troubling. Video of border official Tom Homan allegedly taking $50,000 from undercover FBI agents. The public heard the DOJ reviewed it and found no credible evidence of wrongdoing. But the optics are terrible, and Americans deserve to know how the system reaches decisions like that. Next, the senator pressed on reports of setting up a compensation fund for January 6th rioters. Bondi said she hasn't discussed it, but refused to say whether she'd even support or oppose the idea. Again, lack of clarity fuels mistrust. And then comes antitrust. 2 tech companies tried to merge. DOJ blocked the merger until a well-connected lobbyist met with political appointees. Suddenly, the merger goes through. That same lobbyist is now tied to Ticketmaster, a company already sued for monopolistic behavior. Americans have had enough of backroom deals and corporate favoritism. Finally, the senator highlighted mass departures of career prosecutors, some allegedly fired after working on Trump-related or January 6th cases. Bondi refused to address specifics. But if experienced prosecutors are leaving in droves, that should concern every American regardless of party. The senator ended with a devastating accusation. The DOJ has become a department of revenge and corruption. Bondi shot back, accusing Democrats of ignoring previous targeting of Trump. Here's the truth. We deserve a justice system that doesn't bend for lobbyists, presidents, or political allies. And right now, both sides are accusing the other of exactly the same thing. That should alarm every patriot in this country. America needs one standard of justice, one rule of law, no favorites, no vendettas. Because when justice becomes political, freedom becomes fragile.